Fake FBI agents pounded on my door at 6:14 a.m. Badges, earpieces, dark suits. Ready to arrest me on federal charges issued by a suburban HOA run by a woman who thinks she's God with a clipboard. Yeah, that's where we ended up. But let me rewind before I tell you how I almost got dragged away in cuffs by what turned out to be dudes from Craigslist with spray-painted badges. Because you need to know exactly how this circus started, and why I refused to bow to a woman I now lovingly call HOA Karen, supreme leader of imaginary law. I had just been sworn in as the fresh-faced young congressman representing my district. Rookie, idealistic, still smelling like victory speeches and cheap campaign donuts. Bought my first real house. White porch, big trees, 3 acres of peace and freedom far from city noise. I didn't want community rules, didn't want lawn police counting blades of grass, and definitely didn't want someone telling me what color my front door should be. No HOA, no committees, no nonsense. At least, that's what the contract said. Day 1. I'm hauling boxes from the U-Haul when this woman appears. Short haircut, sharp glasses, Steve Jobs confidence with zero of the genius. She marches across my yard like she owns it, thrusting a clipboard to my chest. Welcome to Cedar Ridge Homeowner Association. Sign here. I blink. I didn't move into an HOA. Her lips tighten like she bit a lemon. You're in it now. I laugh, rookie mistake. Next morning, I wake up to what looked like a parking ticket slapped onto my soul. Violation notice number 001. Unapproved house color. Unapproved? This white. America runs on white houses. Another notice taped under it. Mailbox height incorrect. Then a third. Failure to pay HOA dues, $400. HOA dues? I hadn't even unpacked my coffee mugs. I tear the papers down, toss them in the trash. Figured she'd go away once she realized I wasn't playing the game. Instead, Karen went DEFCON 5. Within 2 days, I'm drowning in notices. I was standing in the living room of a machine, a well-funded, government-entangled, real estate power syndicate disguised as HOA reform. Langford wasn't the mastermind, he was a recruiter, a face, a salesman, a cog. And this man? He was corporate muscle wearing a government wallet. He leaned forward, voice lowering to a whisper like we were sharing secrets instead of threats. You think you uncovered corruption. Cute. What you've stumbled on is a pipeline, land to development to federal contracts to private capital. You shut that down? You don't just ruin one congressman, you crash an economy. I clenched my jaw so hard my teeth hurt. So what, you want me to drop the investigation? No. He smiled wider. We want you to join it. That never crossed my mind. Expand Langford's network, he continued. Make it legal. We fund your campaigns. You become the face of neighborhood modernization. Everyone wins. Everyone except the families they steal homes from. Everyone except the widows paying fake dues. Everyone except Old Man Marshall, who lost the house he built with his wife's hands. I stepped closer. Gun still raised, voice steady but full of thunder. You think I'm gonna sell out my district for a seat at your table? He didn't blink. I think you're smart enough to keep breathing. He stood slow, graceful, powerful without needing volume. Close enough I could smell his cologne, expensive, clinical, like clean money. He looked me dead in the eyes. I'll give you 24 hours. If you continue, there won't be hearings. There won't be trials. There will just be property acquisition. He walked out my door like he owned it. Didn't even look back. Because he knew what losing everything does to a man. How temptation tastes sweet when survival hangs like a noose. But he didn't know me. He didn't know what I saw in Marshall's shaking hands, or in the widow's tears, or in Karen's desperate rage. He didn't know that power doesn't scare me. Injustice does. I didn't sleep that night either. I sat at my kitchen table with files spread like a crime scene and a map of every district Langford touched. There were 14 in total. 14 cities. 14 neighborhoods. Thousands of lives built into this machine. I had 24 hours to decide. Fold or set the machine on fire. At sunrise, I made my move. I called every journalist I trusted, every whistleblower contact, every watchdog group hungry for blood. I compiled evidence packets, backups, off-site digital dumps. If they wanted silence, they'd need to kill the internet first. Then I walked straight into the Ethics Committee office with a box full of classified documentation, property seizure records, offshore transfers, shell corporation trails long as a highway. I set the box down like a guillotine. "We're taking this public," I said. The room went still. An aide ran a hand through his hair. Another paled. One whispered, "You're declaring war." I didn't flinch. "No, I'm ending one. Because Chapter 5 isn't about evidence anymore. It's about fallout. About indictments, betrayals, hearings, raids." And the moment HUD's watchdog division realized I didn't bow, they sent something worse than threats. They sent a subpoena, then a removal vote, then the moment that changed everything. They sent someone after the one person I couldn't afford to lose. The courtroom smelled of paper and panic. Weeks had passed since the trial began, and every witness chipped away at the HOA's image like a sculptor breaking stone. The once confident board now sat pale, shoulders tight, eyes unfocused. Their arrogance had evaporated, replaced with the cold awareness that they weren't just losing, they were drowning. Sam entered the courtroom with steady steps. The gallery clapped quietly. Even the judge gave a stern but approving nod. It wasn't just corruption. It was organized extortion. Sam's attorney rose for closing arguments. His voice echoed like thunder, powerful and final. They tried to take a man's land, his history, his identity. They tried to bury him, but instead they buried themselves. The HOA lawyer tried a shaky rebuttal, but nobody believed it. Not after the whistleblowers. Not after the recordings. Not after Sam stood stronger than every brick they threw at him. The judge leaned forward, hands clasped, voice sharp as a blade. The court finds the HOA guilty on all counts, including harassment, property damage, falsifying violations, and extortion. Effective immediately, the HOA charter is dissolved. Gasps erupted. Some board members cried. Collins collapsed into his chair, hands shaking, mouthing no. This can't be happening. But it was. Sam closed his eyes, letting the moment wash over him like rain ending a drought. Years of stress, humiliation, threats gone. The judge continued. Furthermore, restitution is awarded to Samuel Reed. Damages totaling $4.5 million. His land is to be restored to his full legal ownership, without restriction. Chairs scraped. Reporters ran. Microphones flashed like lightning. Sam didn't celebrate, not yet. Money could fix fences, rebuild barns, replant crops. But what he wanted most was simpler. Respect back. Dignity back. Peace back. The final scene wasn't inside court. It was outside, under warm sunlight. Reporters swarmed, cameras flashing, news vans parked crooked on the street. Sam smiled gently at the crowd. "I didn't fight to win money," he said. "I fought so nobody else would be bullied off their own land." The crowd applauded. Freedom felt like wind across wide, open fields. In the weeks after, families who moved away because of HOA harassment returned. Fences were rebuilt. The farm bloomed again, even stronger than before. Kids ran through tall grass, cattle fed peacefully, and Sam finally slept without fear. Red envelopes. Yellow envelopes. One even scented like lavender, which somehow made it worse. My phone rings from unknown numbers. Voicemails threatening lien action, property forfeiture, fines increasing every 24 hours. For a split second, I wondered if I'd missed some page in the contract. Something small. Something sneaky. So I drive down to the county office, suit jacket still on from meetings, ask to see Cedars Ridge HOA registration. Guy behind the desk laughs like I just asked to see Santa's driver's license. There is no Cedar Ridge HOA. And that was the moment the fuse lit. When I got home, 2 men in tactical vests were standing in my driveway, one holding a camera, the other holding a clipboard like it was a loaded gun. Compliance inspection. At 7:30 p.m. on private property. I step closer, calm voice, politician smile. "You working for federal, state, county, or just Karen?" They freeze. One whispers something and they both walk off. Fast. That's when paranoia mixed with curiosity and brewed me a fresh cup of hell no. I spent the next night deep diving into property records, campaign contacts, permit databases, everything short of hiring a drone strike. What I found: Karen wasn't just pretending to run an HOA. She was running a shadow government of one. Forged documents, fake fines, dues paid through Venmo, no board members, no bylaws, just her, a printer, and God-level audacity. And she had targets, mostly elderly homeowners, widows, veterans, people who couldn't fight, people she scared into compliance with threats of foreclosure and imaginary legal authority. Meanwhile, she clearly thought I, a sitting congressman, wouldn't fight back. Funny. 3 days later, she escalated. I'm stepping out of my house, coffee in hand, when 3 black SUVs block my driveway, engines running, tinted windows. Doors open like Secret Service choreography. 6 men in black suits and aviators step out in sync. Karen follows behind them like she's entering the Olympics. One agent, tall, rigid like he swallowed a broom, flashes a badge I could have bought off Amazon for $19.99. Sir, we're with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. You're under arrest for defying a lawful homeowner association authority. I stare, sip coffee, blink slow. The FBI arrests people for lawn violations now? Karen smirks like she just staged a coup. You should have complied, Congressman. Oh hell no. I lean closer, badge up to eye level, and that's when I see it. Tiny text at the bottom. Property of Party City. These weren't FBI agents. Not federal. Not even mall cop level. These were dudes Karen hired to play dress up. But I stayed still, quiet, observing, because I wanted proof, wanted the whole fraud to collapse under its own stupidity. They tell me to place my hands behind my back. I don't move. Instead, I smile, because behind them, down the road, I hear the rail sirens approaching. The ones I called. The ones they never saw coming. And just like that, everything exploded. They had me surrounded, 6 fake FBI agents. Sweat beading under cheap sunglasses. Karen hovering behind them like a villain reveal shot in a low-budget Netflix documentary. They thought they were about to drag me off my own porch like some criminal who forgot to mow his grass. Then those real sirens hit. 2 squad cars, 1 sheriff SUV, lights blazing blue across my white siding like the universe hit record for the episode premiere. Karen's face dropped so fast I swear gravity got jealous. The fake FBI turned in slow motion, too slow, and realized they'd just walked into a cage with the door already locked. My buddy Wilson, county sheriff and professional bullshit detector, steps out first. Tall, big-shouldered, southern drawl that makes grown men reconsider life choices. He takes one look at the fake badges and bursts out laughing. Ma'am, he says to Karen, these ain't federal agents. They're wearing dress shoes from Walmart. Karen stutters like Windows XP freezing. They're authorized. The HOA hired them under emergency powers. Wilson raises one eyebrow, the oh really eyebrow, and turns to the fake agents. Boys, you want to tell me what branch of the federal government issues polyester tactical vests with shipping tags still attached? One guy panics and tries to hide the dangling Amazon barcode. Another whispers, do we run? Bad move. Sheriff Wilson didn't even reach for his gun. He just stepped forward and the dude folded like wet cardboard. Meanwhile, I finally speak, voice calm, smooth, congressional debate level. Karen, impersonating federal agents. Fraud. Illegal fines. Extortion. You sure you want to keep playing HOA president of the universe? She tries to stand tall, chin up, gripping her clipboard like it's a magic wand. I have legal authority. I pull a folder from my briefcase and open it slowly, dramatically, like I'm flipping the final page of a courtroom anime arc. Count 1. No registered HOA. Count 2. No charter with the county. Count 3. Forged compliance documents. Count 4. Attempted detainment of a sitting congressman. Reading it felt like announcing raffle winners, except instead of gift baskets, we were handing out federal charges. Wilson signals his deputies. 2 deputies step up. Real cuffs. Real authority. Real consequences. Karen shrieks, you can't arrest me. I own this neighborhood. Oh, she snapped. Fully. Like expired discount cereal. While deputies cuff the fake agents, Karen thrashes and screams about bylaws, architectural uniformity, grass length limits. Basically a demonic TED Talk. Neighbors start peeking outdoors. Curtains twitch. Garage doors rise like theater curtains. Half the block gathers. Phones out. Recording like it's the season finale of suburban Game of Thrones. But here's the twist. One neighbor, Old Man Marshall, steps forward trembling. "Congressman, she took my house." His voice cracks. Everyone goes silent. He explains how Karen fined him $72,000 over fence noncompliance, then forced a sale to her HOA trust, except the trust doesn't exist. His wife died believing they lost everything legally. That punch hit harder than any fight I've seen on the house floor. Another neighbor steps up, widow with a cane, tears rolling. "She threatened to evict me if I didn't pay dues." Kid skateboarder raises his hand like school isn't out. "She banned chalk drawings. Said it disrupts community aesthetics." One by one, like dominoes with trauma, they start confessing everything Karen stole. Money, property, security, peace, hope. And it clicked, this wasn't neighborhood drama anymore. This was organized theft disguised as law enforcement. I look at Wilson. He nods. Decision made. We're not just busting Karen. We're burning down the whole operation. But the fake FBI fiasco? That was only step one. Because that night, while Karen sat in county lockup stewing like a bad sampler platter, something bigger broke loose. Wilson called me past midnight. Voice low. Urgent. We found financials. Offshore accounts. Wire transfers. Shell companies under different names. Not just Karen, a network. A machine. And behind it all? Someone with real power. When he told me the name attached to the signature authorizing her fake HOA expansion, I froze, because I recognized it instantly. Someone from Capitol Hill. Someone with connections. Someone I'd stood beside during swearing-in photos. And suddenly this wasn't just a crazy Karen story. This was political, national, corrupt, dangerous. And if I kept going, if I pushed this, I could lose everything. But hell if I was backing out. Because they came for me in suits and sunglasses like a bad spy parody, and they messed with my neighborhood, my people. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was scared, but because I was angry in a way caffeine can't create and sleep can't cure. I paced my living room while the moon drew long silver lines across my hardwood floors. My house, the one I worked my whole damn life to afford, had become ground zero for political fraud disguised as cul-de-sac tyranny. A sitting congressman kidnapped by fake FBI agents from a bootleg HOA? That headline alone could go nuclear. But what gnawed at me wasn't Karen anymore. She was just the fuse. I'd seen the signature Sheriff Wilson uncovered, the authorization behind Karen's entire little empire. Congressman Victor Langford, senior member, power broker, committee strings like a puppeteer. The man smiled in Senate portraits like he invented democracy. Turns out he was inventing something else, an HOA scam spanning multiple states. I stared at the file in my hands. Property seizures, forced buyouts, elderly homeowners pushed into foreclosure, military widows evicted over paint tone violations. They weren't enforcing aesthetics. They were flipping neighborhoods. Cheap acquisition through fear. Profit by displacement. A political business model built on panic. I sat down, fingers steepled, brain on fire. I had two options. Go public and risk my career. Stay quiet and become part of the rot. And I didn't crawl through primaries, shake 10,000 greasy hands, and survive televised debates just to roll over when corruption knocked wearing a Karen haircut and aviators. So the next morning, I suited up like it was Judgment Day. Tie straight, flag pin sharp, coffee strong enough to wake Teddy Roosevelt. I drove to the federal building downtown, marched straight into the office of Inspector General, and dropped those files like a legal grenade. Agents scanned pages, eyebrows rising like stock charts during Bitcoin hype. One agent, Ramirez, leans forward. "Sir, this is evidence of a multi-state conspiracy." "No," I corrected, voice steady. "This is evidence of government-sanctioned land theft." Ramirez nods slow. "We'll open an investigation immediately. But here's the part they don't put in patriotic speeches or campaign ads. When you expose corruption, corruption moves back. Hard. By noon, news vans swarmed my street like vultures at a buffet. Reporters yelled questions. Congressman, did you arrest your own HOA? Are you feuding with federal agencies? Why were fake agents at your house? I answered nothing, not yet, because I had bigger prey to hunt. I went straight to Capitol Hill. The building always felt huge, marble, gold, history echoing in every hallway. But that day it felt like a battlefield. People moved around me like I was radioactive. Whispers following me like perfume you didn't ask to wear. And then I saw him, Victor Langford. Silver hair, polished suit, handshake smile that could fool an angel. He approached like we were buddies. Morning, Congressman. You look tense. I stepped closer until our shoes nearly kissed marble. Cut the act. I know about Cedar Ridge. About the shell companies. The fraudulent foreclosures. His eyes didn't flinch, not even a twitch. That scared me more than if he'd thrown a punch. I don't know what you think you found, he said, voice smooth as buttered lies, but you're young, fresh. Don't burn your career on conspiracy fantasies. I leaned in, whisper dark, cold. No fantasy. Your signature is on everything. His smile faded. Just a flicker, but enough. Then he walked away. Just like that, relaxed, effortless, like he didn't just get accused of running suburban organized crime. And when a man walks away like that, it means one thing. He thinks he can't be touched. But I had leverage now. A story America would devour like wildfire meeting gasoline. So I did something no freshman congressman is supposed to do. Something career-ending if I lost, historic if I won. I filed a motion for a congressional ethics investigation against Victor Langford. On record, televised, impossible to bury. C-SPAN cameras rolled. The chamber hushed. I stepped to the podium. Palms steady, voice calm. Heart pounding like a war drum. Madam Speaker, I rise today to expose a fraudulent homeowner enforcement network responsible for illegal property seizures, impersonation of federal agents, and displacement of American citizens for profit. Heads snapped toward me. I continued. The operation was facilitated by falsified HOAs, unregistered, unregulated, weaponized to steal land under the guise of community enforcement. Gasps. Papers rustled. Senators shifted. And then I dropped the name. Evidence shows Congressman Victor Langford authorized expansion of these HOAs using forged municipal cooperation forms. Silence. Then chaos. Shouting. Reporters scrambling. Phones exploding. Langford tried to stand. Furious. But the speaker slammed her gavel so hard the sound cracked like a gunshot through the chamber. Order. 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 It was the most electric moment of my career. Like watching a dam burst. But in the middle of all that victory, in the avalanche of attention and headlines and security escorts, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. One-line text. You don't know how deep this goes. Back off. Then another text, this time a photo. My house. Lights on. No one home. Someone was inside. And suddenly, the story didn't feel like victory anymore. It felt like a threat wearing a suit. The photo hit me like a punch with brass knuckles. My house, lights on, front door cracked open like an invitation or a warning. I stared at that image inside the Capitol Rotunda, while congresspeople screamed around me like parrots fighting over a cracker. I just detonated a political bomb on live TV. But someone clearly had a bigger fire ready for me back home. I left the chamber without even grabbing my coat. Drove fast. Too fast. Red lights became suggestions, not rules. Every second felt like a countdown. Because whoever sent that photo wasn't bluffing, they were inside. And if they were the same people behind Langford's operation, they weren't there for coffee. They were there to send a message. When I pulled onto my street, something felt wrong immediately. Too quiet. No reporters. No neighbors watching through blinds. No distant hum of traffic. Just silence thick enough to chew. My porch light flickered like a dying heartbeat. The front door was open just 2 inches. Enough to say, "Come in if you're stupid." I drew my concealed carry, stepped up the walkway slow, boots silent on the concrete. My pulse lived in my fingertips. Every instinct screamed trap, but curiosity and anger drowned caution like whiskey does judgment. Inside was dark. Darker than it should have been. They'd cut power. Only the living room lamp glowed weakly, swinging like someone bumped it. Shadows stretched across the walls like long fingers. Then I heard it. A voice, calm as a priest at a funeral. "Congressman, you move fast." I froze. A man sat on my couch. Legs crossed, suit crisp, smile polite in a way that felt violent. Youngish, sharp jaw, hair slicked like Wall Street and Mafia had a baby. He wasn't nervous. He wasn't hiding. He was waiting. "Who the hell are you?" I kept the gun ready, steady. He gestured casually. "Put that away. If I wanted you gone, you wouldn't have made it to the porch." Cocky, confident, dangerous. I didn't lower the weapon. He sighed, like I was the rude one, and reached into his jacket slowly, pulling out not a gun, but a badge case. Not FBI, not ATF, Department of Housing and Urban Development, Special Oversight Division. I blinked. HUD? Since when does HUD break into houses? He smirked. Since congressmen start kneecapping billion-dollar property engines. That's when my stomach dropped. I wasn't fighting Karen anymore. Not even Langford.